Hi everybody, this is Audrey with the Creator's Attic. Today I want to just show you something that's very simple for anyone to do, even if you're a beginner. This is, you can alter this in so many different ways that you don't have to have a ton of supplies. It's simple supplies, and there's so many different takes you can do with this. And I was going to show you the prototype. I was digging around in one of my old journals again, and I do that sometimes when I want to have some inspiration for maybe some videos or something like that. And so I came across this little notebook, and I'll show you. It's just a clip out, and basically what I did was I took some scraps of paper, and well, this I took an index card, and then I took some scraps of paper, and I just that I had, and I just made a little notebook out of it. And I took some postcard that I had inked with some special inks I had. Then I took a flower from my yard that I had pressed, and I just like gessoed, I think, or something over the top to keep it on here and preserve it. And it has stayed in this, clipped in this little journal for, I don't know, it's probably been over a year, and I just happened upon it. And I thought, you know, I'm going to try to a little simple idea. With this one, it looks like I may have glued this actually onto the paper on the back, because this would make it to where they couldn't tear out. So this one you can't tear out, you would have to write in, but I've been thinking through it and I've come away around that, so let's go for it. Okay, this is what I did. I had these cut-offs that I had in the drawer forever, and I was like clearing some of my clutter. So I just picked out about, I think 5 or 6 or whatever. And so any of your scraps that you have will work for this. And you don't have to do this to make it a tearaway, but I just sewed across it with my sewing machine because I wanted to be able to actually be able to. Okay, so wanted to be able to tear them out, and as you can see, it kind of gives, the sewing gives that line where you will be easier if you want to tear them out. So I went ahead and did this far, but you don't have to sew this. You can staple it if you want to, staple them together. However you want to do this, you can glue, in order to keep your papers together, you're going to have to staple them or something like that. But I'm going this way, and so that's what we're going to do. So I've decided that this is just the paper. So I've decided that I want to put a more solid top and back on it, so it'll be more like a notepad that will stand up to a little bit more wear and tear, so to speak, or even work alone. It doesn't have to be in a journal. So you can put these in as removables. These can be by themselves. These can be glued onto a journal, and if so however you want to go about doing it. So this is very simple, easy to do. I've taken just some 4x6 index cards that I had, and what I'm going to do is we're going to start from this point, and what I want to do is just make this something that I can cut with my scissors. So if you don't have a guillotine or anything like that, that'll be okay. We're just going to work around that. So I'm looking for my pencil. Here we go. Okay, I have my pencil. And I'm going to move this now. The pretty's gone, but I do have a new mat under here. I did not get rid of my old mat, but just wanted to have a cleaner looking mat. for you this time. Okay, what I want to do is I want to go just a little bit more. I want to go make this just a little bit bigger. And the thing that's great about the index cards is you know that they're squared off. If you don't have index cards, you can use junk mail like this, and you can cover it up with paper or whatever, but you just need something sturdy. So it doesn't have to be too much. So what I'm going to do is just, I have this angle already, so I know that that'll be straight. This, if you're wondering, is about 5 inches by 2.5. You can do them bigger or smaller, however you want. And I did it a little bit longer because I'm going to be covering up about this much of it later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this just slightly bigger than this. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to come, actually I'm going to go down first. Okay. Gonna line this up. Okay, so I've lined this up with my grid here. May not want that much though. Slide it over just a little bit. Okay. And okay. Now, oops, my index card needs to be straight. So let me move that up there to that line. Okay. Here we go. Okay, we're all settled now. Okay, I am going to just take off just a little bit. So I'm going to do this so I know I'll cut it straight. You don't have to be this perfectionistic. Okay, so I want it there. So I'm going to remove this. Okay, so I'm just going to go down and make that line. And I know that I want it to be a little bit longer than 5 inches, so I'm going to just start about here. I can always cut a little bit more off if I want. So I'm going to run this across here. And if you have a guillotine, it makes this so much easier. But I realize that a lot of people don't have that luxury yet, especially if you're just beginning. So we're gonna go about it like this. It didn't go all the way down. Okay. All right. So now I have a guide, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut my back one with it too, so I don't have to do it twice. And let's see. Let me grab my cutting scissors. And we're going to, these are not my cutting scissors. These are like my baby scissors. Okay, I have the matching parent pair here to the child. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut right on that line. Holding these together. And then I'm going to cut up on this line, straight on the line. Because I do want this, like I said, to be a little bit bigger than my notebook. That way my pages aren't, if my pages aren't exactly straight, I'll have a little bit of wiggle room here. So, okay. Now these index cards were 4x6. So I don't think I want as much of these on here. So I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to decide how much I want to cut off. I just wanted it just to be a little bit longer, remember, so I'm going to come back up here. And you can eyeball this. You don't have to make this as you don't have to make this as perfect like I am. But okay, this top can be okay, flush with it, but this bottom I want to be a little bit less. So come across here. And I'm going to remember that I want to do this to both of them, my top of my notebook and my bottom. Okay. I just see that I did not cut that right on the line, so let me just straighten that part out real quick. Okay, there we go. All right, now I'm going to cut where my line is. And you can hear the train coming through. If you've never watched my videos before, and this is our first time, those are trains that come through the track that runs right behind my house. This is just not straight. Okay. Okay, I live in a very rural town, and so the railroad just loves to come through here. And right, it seems like it's on cue. It's like, oh, she's doing a video, so we're gonna just zoom on through. Okay, so now this next part is very simple. I have my front and I have my back. So I'm going to just put that in there about how I want it. See how I have a little bit of extra space around. And I'm actually going to put the part that I cut off up here. Because it's not exactly straight, it'll be covered up anyway. So, all right. Now, what I have done is I have arranged this so that I have some room up here above this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to staple the top of this, but I'm not going to staple. I'm going to staple the top of this, but I'm not going to staple the bottom. Wait a minute. I'm going to staple the above this so you'll still be able to tear these off. And I'm going to cover up this staple because I don't really like the look of staples that much in my stuff that make it visible, but we're covering it up. So this way you'll still be able to tear them out if you staple above the line. So I'm just going to take my little stapler here and I'm going to just staple. It doesn't have to be straight, and I'll show you, these don't have to be perfectly straight, and I'll show you why. So basically, we're just getting this part attached, and see how I'm still able to tear out? Okay, so got this much. Now what I'm going to do is take some, okay, so I want to put a little thing over it like this. So I'm just going to take something, let's see, what do I have? I have been dying to play with my washi tape. So I've just taken an index card that didn't turn out so great as well as I wanted it to. And I just bent it over and I just made sure that my sides were straight, and that way that I knew that it was lined up. And then I'm just going to cut it off. And then I'm going to put it over that mark. Put it over this mark. And I know I've got something sticking up but we're gonna totally be out of that in just a second. All right, so I've got this now, and I can cut this off later, but what I want to do is I want to cover this up. I want to cover this. I have my crease now that will go over the top. I want to cover this up, and I have my washi drawer here. And I have been about to have a fit to use my washi drawer. To use some of these new florals that I got. And this one just seems to be calling out to me. So I'm going to take this one. And while I'm doing this, I do want to tell you also that I have these in my store. These are washi samples, and you can choose from you can choose of samples from assortments of flowers on down to your assortment of flowers, vintage patterns, Nature Patterns. Just check it out if you want some nice big long strands of washi and you want a variety, but you don't want to buy the whole store. Anyway, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Actually, I think I want this to be a little bit shorter. Okay, I'm just going to eyeball this. Probably not going to like myself for eyeballing this. Okay. Still going to be enough to cover up my staples. But the reason why I did that was because I want to be able to cover up that crease with my washi. So the front part that's going to show, I'm going to just, you can cover this up with ribbon or trim or whatever you want to do. I just was about to have a fit to use this washi, so I'm just going to go over the front just a little bit, or just actually right flush up to it. So let's see, here we go. And then I'm just going to rip it off for now because I can go back and fold it over. And this is brand new washi, so I'm not really worried about it coming up. Let's see. I wanted that to cover over the crease just a little bit more. That's why I cut it shorter, but you can always come back and bring in a little bit more and just cover over it, which you'll, do the back too anyway. So, all right. So then we have our crease and to the back. Wow. Just went right on my crease, just enough to be aggravating. Okay, so now I have some extra washi on the back, that's fine. And I'm just going to take my notebook and I'm going to put it in here. Doesn't really matter if it's in the center or not. But now I have my top of my little notebook. And this, because I already have this part attached, I can still rip these pages away from the notebook, but I have this on here, and then I'm covering up the staples with this. And what I want to do is I want to stencil the front of this real quick. So, like I said, you can cover this with scrapbooking paper or whatever, but just do a little bit of interest. I got these stencils the other day. They were very cheap, but I just wanted to use them. So I'm gonna try not to tear up the staple. Okay, and this one works just perfect for what I want to do. So I'm just putting a little bit of color on the background, on the back here. So let's see, and I'm doing that before I put this top on, just so I don't have to worry about getting stuff all over this or whatever. So let's see, I think I'm just gonna take one of my go-to inks that I use a lot of, which is the Tiger Groves. Or I may use, actually, I think this may call for some warm lipstick since it's going to be. Okay, if I can find my warm lipstick. I have been working with my inks and I've kind of rearranged them a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to use my little mini warm lipstick. And I know that will be show up a little bit better and bring out the pink of this in this blue a little bit. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to just take one of my paddle brushes. And, like I said, decorating the front of this is optional. But I just figured I would just have a little bit of extra fun and do some things on that I used some items I had been wanting to use on here. And up on here. And also, use some of that washi and all that. So you can do this in many different ways. All right. I'm just going to put this here. And I'm just gonna go lightly over my stencil. Okay, because I just want a faint background. There we go. Lovely. Okay, now I'm going to take my Distress ink, that my Gathered Twigs. It's kind of my go-to ink. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink that because this washi will take this up. Will not take the it's waxy on the washi. Will not take this ink as well. So let's see. I'm going to grab my dauber. I'm just going to go around the edge. All of this, like I said, is optional. It's just the way I want to go about doing it. I like to frame my things in here and use my supplies. So I'm just kind of having a nice, relaxing craft time this evening. And this is a very, like I said, a very simple idea. Anybody can do it. It doesn't have to be all measured and perfect if you don't want to. You can cover this. You don't even have to put a top on this. If you just want to staple it together and stencil the top, that's fine. You do it how you want to do it. I'm just showing the full out way of how to tear it out and put a cover on it and, you know, blah, blah, blah. All right, so now I've got this. Now it is safe for me to glue this, and I haven't cut this off yet. There's a reason. Okay, I'm just gonna take some Fabrifix glue, just because it's here. You could probably use a really good white wet glue or like art glitter glue or whatever you have will be fine. Okay. Okay. I realized that I didn't cut that very straight and that was going to be my front. So I'm just going to fold it over a little bit and hide that. Okay. I'm just going to put this in here like this. And I'm just going to hold it a second. I'm not setting it down on my mat because I don't want glue on my new mat. I was trying today to get some of the glue off of the mat, and I actually was taking my hot glue gun on my other mat and heating up the ink and then taking a pencil eraser because it was hot and erasing it off and then doing like this with my finger. It worked, but it was just going to be a long, lengthy process because I had so much ink on my, other mat. But okay, and see how I'm just cutting up flush against here? Okay, so now I have this. Now I could stop here or I could go a little bit further, and I think I am, since we have, let's see, we're only 23 minutes in, so I'm going to show you a couple of ideas that you can do with some extras, other scraps that you have. I have a lot of scraps that are like lace scraps that I have cut-offs of different things. I do have 31 drawers. I think if I've not told you before, 31 drawers of lace and trim. I have a lace and trim sampler assortment kit that you could get all different kinds. It's also in my Etsy store, which is also the Creator's Attic. If you haven't been over there and you want to check it out, go for it. I would love to have you stop in. Okay, these immediately came off the top. And so I think I'm just going to use these. And what do I want to do? I also have this piece, but that's just too pink on pink. And okay, so I have this. Let me see if I have anything else in here I may want to use instead. But I think I'm just gonna, for time purposes sake, I'm gonna use a little bit of white just to offset this too much beigey beige here. So, all right. So I guess, but maybe I don't want to do that. Okay, I'm changing my mind. Changing my mind in the middle of the video. Okay, I do want to use something a little bit wider. And, you could slap a stamp on this and call it a day. That would be fine too. Or you can fuss through here like I am. I don't want to use yellow. I was trying to find just maybe a little bit of off-white or something like that. Just so it wasn't so stark white. But you know what? I'll fix it. I will fix it. I'm just going to take a little bit of my, I'm just going to take my dauber and I'm just going to run it over the top of this real quick and just give it a little bit of, knock some of that bright white off the top. There we go. See, you can fix these types of things. Now, I don't want this I don't prefer to have this hanging off, so I'm just going to use the actual pattern in the thread, or the pattern in the ribbon or lace, whatever, to be my guide. And I'm just going to kind of cut around, and see, I had it's kind of similar on both sides almost, so I'm just going to kind of try to cut it around a little bit. And I'll leave that nice little top on there. Okay. And then I'm going to go around and I'm going to just cut around this other side. And see how I have the 3 flowers here, and I know I started here, so I'm just going to try to cut around again. And stop there at the end of the 3 flowers. 1, 2, 3. See, leave a little bit. Okay. Now, that's straight enough, I suppose. And just a little bit more off this side. Okay. That's enough of that. Okay. So now I'm going to take this and I want to put this down. Okay, so I am going to use Fabrifix, but I am going to go ahead and put it on the actual paper. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I want to smear it out a little bit. And I'm not going to smear out to where exactly I think it's going to be. I'm just going to smear just a little bit on here just to make it secure. And see where I want it, because see, if I had just squirted the Fabrifix on here, which will hold things like lace and fabric to the paper, and it'll hold paper and paper together, and fabric together, or lace and lace together, whatever. This is Fabrifix. You can use Fabri-Tac, or if they're both made by Beacon. You can use I think there's a 3-in-1 also by Beacon, but I prefer the Fabrifix over in all of them. They say they're similar, and I've used them and they are similar, but they are not. To me, Fabrifix just turns out to be the strongest, and I have been doing this for a while. So okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to put it, I know now kind of where it's going to fall. So I don't want the Fabrifix all over my index card, so I'm just kind of tucking these little edges in by just rubbing what I have on my finger under here and letting it stick. Okay, so now I have that. Now, what do I want to do with this? You could put a cute button there, you could put a bow there. You could just do different things. I could have put a sticker on the front of this. I could have stamped on the front. I think I may have said that already. But for this one, I have some little appliques over here. I ordered these appliques, and you can do so much with just plain white applique, because when you have white appliques, you can color them whatever color. Well, another train. Trains are coming through this evening. Imagine having to sleep with these things coming through. It took me forever, or a little while, not forever, to get used to them. Okay, I think I'm going to kind of cover up this lace with a flower. Yes, I know that's too bright. So I'm going to call on the colors in my washi up here. So let's see. You can easily do that by taking I think I have some blue ink on here that should match with that. I think it's prize ribbon, probably with some others or whatever. But I'm going to knock this white off of this by making this, if I can hold on to it, making this blue. Okay, so I have a nice blue. Now, it may not be as grunged up kind of as I want it, so I'm going to go back over it with my brown just around the edges. And I have this. Now, you know what I'm going to do. I want to incorporate some pink. So I'm going to take a little bit darker pink, and I'm just actually going to stick my finger straight in here so it'll be more precise, and I'm just going to stick it in, put it in the middle here, and that is not quite working as well as I want it to. So I'm going to come in here with my water brush. This is just some Distress ink, barely watered down in one of these little water brushes that you can get. I think this is what is it? Tattered Rose, I think, is in here. And I'm just going to do that because I just wanted to add a little bit more to it. And that Picked Raspberry was just a little too pink. So now I have this. And I think I'm just going to brush over this a little bit just to kind of add a little bit more interest. Where is my worn lipstick brush that I had? I had some worn lipstick on this brush. I'm going to just kind of maybe see if I can just add a little bit of that in here and just kind of give it a little variety of colors. I'm just playing now, but I'm not using the whole, I mean, you don't have to do all this to your flowers. I'm just giving it a little bit more color, just to add a little bit more interest to it. Now, okay, and you can always come back in and put some more blue on it, which I'm going to do. Okay, and then I'm going to glue this down here. So, take my Fabrifix. I'm going to put it on the back of my flower, because in that way I can move the flower around a little bit if I want. And then I'm going to just smear this around on the thing. If you don't like to smear this around with your finger, you know, you can use tools. There are tools for that, but I prefer this. I'm just going to stick this here. And this way I have some lace. This is just an all scraps type of thing. Here I have lace. I have my washi. I have done my stencils. I've used my applique. So we can do other things to this if we want. So I do think I want to do something else to this. And I may not like doing this, but I have this Distress spray stain, and this one is Tarnished Brass. I'm going to shake this up. You don't have to have all these fancy tools to make one of these. I'm just playing around here. So I don't think I want it to get on my flower though. So I'm just kind of doing this on the fly now. The main part's over. Let's see. I'm just going to put a little something over. I've got this washi tape that's not very good washi tape. It won't pull this up or anything, but it'll just cover this up a little bit. And I'm going to, next I'm going to take a magazine page so I don't get spray stain all over my desk, and I'm just gonna give it a little, make sure, give it a little starter, and then spritz it. Okay, maybe spritz it one more time. Okay, this drives a metallic color, and so it'll be really pretty. I'm going to hit it with my heat gun just to speed things up. Make everything dry. And voila, everything is dry and we are finished. So let's just take a little tour before we go and see what we've done. I managed to get that stuff on here anyway. But that's why we always keep a baby wipe handy, because sometimes we can get this type of stuff up very quick. But do keep your baby wipes away from your, wow, that stuff went everywhere. Even with the magazine page. Okay. But we can keep our things, keep these away from coffee dye stuff. They will ruin your coffee dye unless you want the coffee to look all to come off your paper and look weird. But okay, so here's what we have, and I have glue all over my hands. So, and you know why though. So we'll look at the one that I did a long time back, and I had just this. Remember, we just had this. Here's an index card I just used, and I didn't even put a back on this one. And then here's the new and improved version that I've worked on. So now we have a textured front. We have the beautiful washi. And then we have it to where it will come, we have it stapled so it will come up. And you can tear these out. I don't want to tear one of these out, but that's what you have. You can stamp on these, put words on these. You can leave them plain. You can draw lines on them or whatever you do. But here you are. Here we have it. And this would be just so pretty, just clipped in a journal or tucked in a pocket. Or it could stand alone. What a beautiful, if you were to make them bigger, that would just be a beautiful little gift for someone or something to take to craft fairs. But anyway, as you can see, I've done this one in a totally different way than this one, so they can be just done with just very simple, just very little scraps and, glue, scissors. I mean, you don't need much. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this simple idea and some simple little decorating tips from me. And I will see you very soon. Please check out my Etsy store. I have old ephemera kits in there with some very, very old things. And I just got several hundred new items in today to go in those kits. So please check those out. My store is the Creator's Attic on Etsy. I have, like I said, lace and trim samplers, washi samplers, regular just junk journal starter kits for those who don't want to buy who want to get a variety of supplies but don't want to buy, a whole pack of one thing and then buy a whole pack, but you can just get a variety of things to start off with. And then if you can kind of help you decide what supplies you may want more of, or if you really want to be into junk journaling, which I don't see how you could not be. It's addictive. But anyway, have a great evening, and I will see you very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.